Following strong results from United Airlines, our next guest is saying that there's more to the numbers than just growth in premium revenues. Joining us now for more, I want to bring in Mike Boyd. He's Boyd Group's international president. And Mike, let's start right there. What is driving then a lot of this excitement and a lot of this growth?
Well, I think a lot of the projections were made basically on what United Airlines has been, not what United Airlines is becoming and what they're doing. Remember, this higher premium revenues are coming from higher premium routes. This is an airline that's looking at the future, particularly internationally, with places like Marrakech. Who wants to go to Marrakech? Well, enough to fill up a couple airplanes in the premium cabin. Or Nook, wherever that was, we didn't know where that was, then Greenland. They're adding routes like that because they see they can get a lot of premium revenue there. They're not done with that. So I think the projections in the future really need to take into account what United is doing going forward, not what they did in the past, because that going forward looks pretty strong to me.
It sounds like it's a lot of focus on the international and trying to extract premium value from international travelers here with some of the routes that you were mentioning, Mike. You know, as we look at the last year, this was and it wasn't even close, the leader in terms of share value return to shareholders. So do you expect that to continue here, especially as they're making some of these larger investments and investors perhaps going to be looking across what that spend looks like to either add on additional routes and capacity or just to focus in more on extracting more margins from some of those premium customers?
They're looking at opportunities, and opportunities are more than just in the front cabin, in front of the curtain. What they're looking at is where traffic may grow in the future. As I've said, they were the biggest U.S. carrier to China. China's gone, ain't coming back. It's about 15% of what it was. They have recovered from that beautifully, and they're looking at other markets going forward. But even domestically, when you look at how they've been hamstrung by Boeing not delivering airplanes, their performance is really quite outstanding. So I think what it is, this is a company that can look at, I would say, adversity and make a lot of money out of it.
Mike, let's talk about what the incoming Trump administration means more broadly for this sector. There's been some excitement. Brad and I had the chance to speak with Bob Jordan, the CEO of Southwest, not too long ago, and he was saying that he was pretty optimistic just in terms of what the Trump administration is going to bring here for the industry at large, talking a lot about a lighter regulatory approach. How do you see that influencing airlines?
Well, I think airlines have been put on notice. You can't keep messing around with passengers. As I said, United Airlines is one of the first to recognize that, because very often when you buy a United ticket, you're not flying on United, you're flying with United with all the messages you get. That's positive. But we're not going to have any more games like we saw last week where Buttigieg decided it was going to fine Southwest Airlines for chronic delays that took place 2 years ago. We're not going to see games like that going forward. I think Sean Duffy is going to be a much more focused person. And don't kid yourself, the airlines aren't going to get away with murder on this one. They're being held accountable, and I think Mr. Duffy and his team will continue to do that.
Mike, with all of this in mind, it sounds like from the FAA perspective and, in our conversations with Bob Jordan and with Delta CEO Ed Bastian, they're all looking for changes at the FAA and air traffic control specifically as well, and adding on more staff, because that's where it seems like from the executive level, they're feeling hamstrung and just not being able to get as many flights into the skies because they have to wait in the queue and wait to make sure that they can ultimately not just bring more routes on, but that the air traffic control has capacity to direct that as well.
Yeah, the point is the FAA has been horribly managed for the past 30 years or so. I've said you need to take a bulldozer to the front office and completely clean it out. But I think Mr. Duffy will be able to do a lot of that. We need more controllers, and the FAA literally has been a problem. Remember, Boeing's trouble with the MAX, Boeing's trouble with that Alaska door plug. The FAA was there the whole time watching this, never did anything. Now they act like they're the cavalry coming over the hill to save America. I think that's going to change going forward. We've got to get more controllers there, but we've got to get oversight of the FAA out of the hands of politicians.
Mike, always a pleasure to get some of your insights. Thanks so much for taking the time here with us today.